its ups and downs. Turn your pretty face into an ugly frown. Seems that when I fix one thing.
Hello, welcome back to The Awakening. I'm your host, Angela Brown. Today's topic for discussion is HIV. And it's a very good topic. We've got it. It's not good, but it's good and bad together. And we're going to give you 30 minutes of some wonderful, wonderful information. I hope that all of you will listen to it. My guest today is Fowlkes, and she happens to be HIV positive. And she's here today to talk with me. So sit back, throw up your feet, get a cup of coffee, whatever, and watch the show. Welcome, Anna, to my show.
Thank you.
We haven't seen one another for a long time.
It's been at least 2 years.
It's been at least 2 years.
Yes.
So when I found, you called me because I was looking for a show on HIV. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I wanted to do this show was to educate our teens right here in Bowie. And I'm sure there are many, many other areas where there are around here too that this show is going to get you to help. Yeah. And I want to know you, I want to know about you, I want to dig your brain out. So you are 50 what?
I am 65.
You're 65.
I just turned 65.
Well, you don't look a day over 50.
Saturday, last Saturday.
You don't look a day over 50.
Thank you.
But you did go out and have unprotected sex.
I did. I was involved with a guy that I knew all my life. Okay. I'll say all my life. I knew him since the time I was 13. Well, we grew up on the same block. We went to the same high school. We were friends.
Right.
My husband and I bought a house on the block I grew up on. And he moved back in with his parents. He and his wife were separated, and I was a widow. And so we ran into each other, and we
Now, did your husband pass away?
Yes, my husband's been gone almost 20 years now. Oh. But at the time I ran into this gentleman, I was a widow. I'd been a widow for about 5 years, but I was still grieving and sort of lost.
It takes a lot of time.
Yes. And he was a friend. Just a friend that I could cry on his shoulder, and I could complain to him. I could talk about my dead husband, you know, and it was okay. And I had trouble sleeping, so he would spend the night. He wouldn't spend the night, but he would get into bed with me and hold me in his arms till I fell asleep, and then he'd get up and go home.
Well, that's wonderful.
And it was wonderful.
Yeah,
until
do you have
the
any friends in case I should ever need that kind
Well, until the summertime when it got very hot. I was a lot smaller than I am now, so I thought it was cute.
You're not big, don't worry about it.
Well, I thought I was cute, you know. I had on my little shorts, and it was summer, it was hot, and we both fell asleep.
Uh-oh.
Right.
It was hot, you were in your shorts.
Right, and our bodies woke up before the rest of us did. From the waist up, we slept on, but from the waist down,
woke up before
we
you
woke
did.
up. And we were involved. And I will say, honestly, I didn't complain. I was kind of happy. I hadn't had any for about 5 years, and so I was thankful.
You go, girl.
You know, and I was like, okay, that's fine. Okay. He was a little withdrawn and embarrassed and, oh,
apprehensive.
No, this shouldn't have happened, because he had a secret, and he didn't know how to share it.
Oh.
His wife was infected, and she left him, and he was very sick.
But he was HIV positive.
And he was positive. So he didn't tell me at the time. I didn't ask.
Oh, my God.
I didn't ask.
Anna.
Okay, that was my bad. I was 53 years old. That was the last thing on my mind.
Right.
By the time I was 55, he got sick, and he was in the hospital with pneumonia. And a little, you know, birdie went off, said, maybe you should ask a question. And I asked, and he was honest and said, yes, he was HIV positive.
Oh, my God.
And so at that point, I got tested. I tested negative, but there's a window when you can test negative, but you're not. So they always tell you to come back. I didn't go back.
Uh-oh.
Okay. When I was 57, he died.
Uh-oh.
I thank God. I come from a strong faith-based family. So I prayed every morning, thank you, Lord. And every night, thank you, I'm healthy, you know.
Yes,
it didn't get
How
me.
did you feel when you found out he's HIV positive? He was dead when you found out.
No.
He was still alive?
I asked him when he was hospitalized. When I was, and he told me, and I explained to him he could have told me, because in my mind, I was just at the end of menopause. So to me, pregnant was worse than AIDS.
Oh my
At 55,
God.
What woman wants to be pregnant at 55?
Yeah, but you have an I know you're a strong faith person. You could have had an abortion.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
Okay.
I wouldn't have had an abortion. And at 55, pregnant would have been devastating because by the time the kid got out of high school, I would be in my 70s. You know, I didn't want to live like that. So we talked, we were still friends, and I had to take responsibility for my actions.
Exactly.
At age 59, I began to exhibit symptoms that were not typical for my physical being.
Okay, like what? Let's start with number one. What was the first thing?
Chronic fatigue.
Tired? Okay.
That was the only symptom I had, and to say tired, my doorbell would ring and I'd have to debate, do I really want to go down the stairs to open the door because I'm going to be exhausted by the time I got to the bottom of the stairs.
But don't you think as we grow older, we get tired?
Sure, we do. But
did you put any 2 and 2 together and got 4?
I was in my 50s and I was just as active and busy as I had been. And so it was unusual for me, I mean, even to debate about going to the bathroom. You know,
Really?
can I hold it? Because I don't feel like it. It's going to take a lot of energy.
Oh,
you know,
my
so
God.
that's chronic fatigue.
Yes, that is chronic fatigue.
And so I went and got tested again, and I tested positive.
Oh.
I wasn't shocked. I kind of suspected
You were not shocked?
No, because I kind of suspected that was what was wrong.
Were you mad? Were you angry?
No, not
No?
really. I wasn't mad. I wasn't angry. First off, I knew it wasn't a death threat.
See, that's what everybody thinks.
In
a death
2006,
threat.
which is when I was diagnosed, I was 59 years old. It was not a death threat. I knew I would live and I could live well and be healthy.
And you weren't upset at all?
So I wasn't upset because...
Come on, you had to be upset.
You know why I wasn't upset?
Why?
Because at that point in my life, I had friends that had problems much worse than HIV.
Such as probably cancer?
My best friend, who lived in San Francisco, did not know she was diabetic. She passed out on the job. They called an ambulance. She was in the hospital for almost 2 weeks. She almost died. I walked in the clinic, got tested, drove myself home. I was in better shape than she was. So I had to look at the broader picture. I had worked as a home health caretaker. I had seen sick people.
Right.
I'd seen a lot of illnesses. So I knew HIV was not that big a deal.
Really?
I would live and live well.
You must have one very strong constitution.
I do. But I took care of my husband who had a brain tumor until he died.
Was it malignant?
It was a malignant and it was a recurring tumor. So they took it out, it grew back, they took it out, it grew back, and he couldn't go through another surgery.
Right.
But having gone through that, I knew that there were things so much worse than HIV.
You saw the other side of the street.
Yeah. So, you know, I didn't say, why me? I said, why not me? And in the past 6 years, I've learned to say that I was blessed with HIV.
Why would you say something like that?
Because I believe God uses us. He has a purpose for everyone.
Of course he does.
And I think God was using me because I'm a talker, that I would step out of my box and tell other people my experience, not shamefully, not embarrassed. And too many people are afraid to say, yes, I have HIV. People that do have it, they don't want their face publicized or their names. I don't mind. And people need to hear that HIV is well, alive, and prospering. People need to understand this is not going away. It is still a pandemic.
I know it is.
And that the only way only thing I know I can do to make a difference is to speak out.
Is use your voice. Yeah.
And so I talk. I've been in middle schools, high schools, colleges, churches, senior centers.
Yeah.
You know, because if I can just convince one person to get tested, then I feel good. And it has happened that I've had people come back and say they got tested. I had one lady come and tell me she tested positive, and she thanked me.
Right.
Because she wouldn't have done it had she not heard me speak.
Well, there's a lot of people who would rather not know than know.
But today, that doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense.
Because you live well.
Well,
medication in Maryland, people don't know how blessed we are in Maryland. In Maryland, you are guaranteed medication regardless of your ability to pay.
Really?
Hello. If you are HIV positive, you will get your medication whether you have 2 cents or none.
Well, that's wonderful.
Okay. Testing in the state of Maryland is free.
Oh.
You can go in any ER, you can go in any clinic, you can go anywhere and ask to be tested. There is no charge. You can get a mouth swab test and have the results in 20 minutes.
That's how they do it, through the saliva in the mouth.
Right.
Not by
there is
blood.
no reason for anyone not to get tested if they are sexually active. You know, that's what I'm saying. That's why it's not HIV is 100% preventable.
Of course, you just have to use your brain.
So no one should ever get infected.
Right.
And the national strategy is pushing toward 0 new infections by 2015.
Well, see, the reason, like I've told you this morning when I came here to the studio, I want to somehow get the word out to the young girls that you've got to find your inner strength, your inner power. It's not what's on the outside that's important. It's what's on the inside. But yet they're letting these guys take advantage of them. They're giving away something that you can't get back.
True.
And they could very easily become HIV positive and not be as lucky as you have been. Everybody can't be that lucky.
And so many young people don't understand
Yeah.
what safe sex is.
Well, I've always heard safe sex is no sex.
Well, the safest sex is no sex.
Yes.
However, safer sex is using a barrier protection like a condom. All right, there are female condoms,
Okay.
which I recommend all young girls use, because a female condom, you can put it in.
Covers the cervix.
You put it in like a Tampax.
Okay, okay.
And you can walk around for 8 hours, and it's good.
It's still, you shouldn't
And
check it before you do it?
You don't have to check it.
You don't
It's
have
still
to
in
check
there.
the condom?
No, you don't, because it's inside you, just like it's in there.
It's in there, it ain't gonna go anywhere.
It's not going anywhere.
Okay.
Okay. A male condom, they cannot put it on until they have an erection.
Okay. That's understandable.
So a young lady can actually put the condom in, go out to dinner, go to the movies, and go home and be sexually active and be safe.
And be safe.
She doesn't have to depend on her partner to protect her. And honestly, in the heat of the moment, who's going to stop to go to the store?
Okay, let me ask you this. When a man ejaculates, the sperm goes inside of the female.
Right.
Okay. And the condom that she's covering her cervix with, when she goes to remove that condom, suppose some of the male sperm is still there, and it's going to go into the uterus. It's going to go into the cervix, up into the uterus.
It's not. Well, first off, the HIV virus is in the semen.
Yes, what I said, yeah.
But it's in the condom. And what a lot of people don't understand, and so many people feed into myths, HIV virus does not live in air.
Does not live in air?
It is not an airborne virus.
Okay.
So it is a
That's good, or we could all walk around and breathe in and get it.
Hello.
Yeah.
It's a contained virus. It's contained within bodily fluids. Women are more susceptible to getting infected because our bodies are depositories.
Yeah.
Men ejaculate into an orifice, and I'm going to say this politely.
Go ahead.
And young girls think oral sex and anal sex is safe sex.
But it's not.
And it's not. If he ejaculates in their mouth or in their anus, then he is leaving a deposit, and that virus can spread throughout their bodies. So they need to use protection. Dental dam protects you in oral sex, you know, and condoms protect you in other kinds of sex.
Right.
But they need to realize what risky behavior is. A lot of young people don't realize. You see young people with a whole lot of piercings.
Oh my God, yes, and the tattoos and everything.
That's risky behavior.
Yes, that's asking for trouble, I always say.
It's risky behavior because if the needles are not sterile,
of course,
then they're at risk of infection. But also if the ink is not clean, that is, if they use the ink on one person, they use it on someone else.
Right, they're trying to say the needles are clean every time, but then you think, like you said, about the ink. The ink can contain the germ.
All right, senior citizens don't realize that if they live in a household with 2 or 3 diabetic people and they run out of money and they share a lancet to stick their finger to check their blood sugar, that's sharing a needle.
They're going to get it then, huh?
Or if they share their insulin needle, they're sharing a needle and a blood transfer. HIV is only transmitted through bodily fluids, through sexual fluids, through blood, and through mother's milk. That's the only way you can get it. You can't get it from shaking hands. You can't get it from a doorknob. You can't get it from drinking behind someone or hugging someone or a million other ways that most people want to think they can. You can only get it through sex or blood transfer.
Because I know I did a show with Maury Povich, and it was young girls there with me. And this one lady, she had to be 85 or 90 years old because it took her a while to get up out of her seat in the, you know, up there in the audience. And she says, I want to tell you young girls something. And they said, what? You know how they're really hostile. Well, a guy only uses you because you're like a toilet. He takes a dump and walks away. I was shocked. I was totally shocked. But that woman was totally honest when she said that.
Yeah.
They take a dump and then they leave, flush your toilet and go.
And then, you know, I explain too, and sometimes you have to really paint a picture for young people.
You've got to be very frank.
And so one example I used is, and it works really well with the young boys, is that they all know what a cold sore is. And I say, you get it on your nose, on your lips, but it also grows in your mouth.
Okay. It's like HPV, the human papillomavirus.
You can get a cold sore in your mouth, and I say, do you look in a little girl's mouth before you kiss her? No. I say to the little girl, do you look in the boy's mouth before you kiss him? So you don't know what's in his mouth or her mouth. And if they have a cold sore in their mouth, that's herpes.
Exactly.
That's a form of herpes.
The human papilloma, I think.
But not only does herpes grow in the mouth, syphilis grows in the mouth.
Of course.
Gonorrhea grows in the mouth. And at which point, most of the boys cover themselves like so to say, ooh, because they realize having had a young lady provide some oral sex for them, they put themselves at risk.
They do. They do.
So, you know, they have to understand first what risky behavior is. And then they need to understand how to protect themselves. And my biggest message is get tested. Get tested, get tested, get tested. Know your status. If you know that you are negative and you practice safer sex, you're protecting yourself.
I watch a lot of these, you know, the shows on TV like Law and Order, NCIS. And yeah, they've been bringing up a lot of cases on HIV. If you watch it, you know what they've been doing.
I've seen them, yes.
And I mean, they're so pathetic. They're not really giving out the information. They're just trying to take care of the individual who is infected. But there should have been a little thing along the screen, know who you're going to bed with, or better yet, a friend of mine says, watch out who you're going to screw. I know that's vulgar on television, but by God, this is the truth.
You know, I showed you a chart.
Yes, you did. It should be on the teleprompter.
And it says, if you've had sex with one person, and one person means you, yourself, by yourself, you're safe. But if you've had sex with 10 people, you've been exposed to over 1,000 people.
Yes.
And if you increase it by 1 to 11, you've been exposed to over 2,000.
Oh, man.
And every time you add 1 to your personal experience, you increase
your risk.
You double it. Okay? So if you've been with 10 people and your partner's been with 10 people, then you've really been exposed to 2,000 people. And young people need to understand who you're in the bed with. Yes. Not just that man beside you or woman beside you, but everyone they've been in the bed with.
Well, look what happened to you. The guy you laid in the bed with, you'd known him a long time.
Right.
You didn't know he was HIV positive.
Actually, we were in a monogamous relationship at the time. Yeah. He wanted to marry me.
And he knew he was HIV positive.
And yes, and after he told me and I accepted it, and we still dated.
You still had sex with him?
Yeah.
You did, because what did you have to lose? You already had HIV.
Well, I mean, I didn't know I was infected at the time, okay? But, I mean, it was just, you know, like, I have to say, because I was in a bad place when we first got together, I was grieving, and, you know, when you lose a spouse, you don't know whether you want to live or die.
I said, recently I lost a son, and like I said, it's been horrendously hard on me. I've lost 2 boys now. Both my boys are gone.
Right, and there's a period where you don't know, why are you still here?
I asked myself that for a long, long time. What am I doing here?
And so you don't care about a lot of things.
Yeah, and I still yell at God, why did you do this to me twice?
Right, and you get angry. You get angry with God.
Yes, I do. I go to church angry.
So, you know, I learned this gentleman actually helped me resolve my issue with God. Our first date, we went to church together, and we went to church every Sunday. And one Sunday, I just said, God, I'm really mad at you. And I had a breakthrough.
Good.
And he was right there with me.
Did you ever get mad at him? Did you ever show any?
I didn't.
Oh, come on, Anna. I would have been hysteric and screaming.
Why would I get mad at him when I could have closed my legs? And tell the truth, I enjoyed it.
You enjoyed it so much, it gave you AIDS, and you still have.
But he gave.
Would you do that? Let me ask.
He didn't give me AIDS. He infected me with HIV.
Okay,
and there's
but would you do it all over again if you knew?
Okay, in knowing today what I do, yes, I would have sex again, but I would use a barrier protection. But I would not hesitate to do it again.
Okay.
Okay, I think because I believe everything that happens in your life happens for a reason.
Exactly,
okay?
exactly.
So I'm grateful this happened to me and that I'm able to speak out and explain to other people the need to protect themselves. I actually say HIV is a blessing in my life.
It turned your life around.
It turned my life around. I'm 65 years old. I have a new career. Okay, I have a purpose. I'm helping people. And I've gotten positive feedback. I've spoken at the Waxter Center in Baltimore every year for about 4 years.
I worked for Waxter's and Laurel.
And I had a lady come to me the second year I was there and say, I heard you last year, and I went and got tested, and I tested positive.
Was she incarcerated there?
And no, she wasn't in
well, Waxter's to me is a prison.
No, Waxter Center in Baltimore is a senior center.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So she went across the street and got tested, and she came back and thanked me because she tested positive and she was on medication. I saw her again a year later, and she says, I'm doing well. And for those that don't understand, doing well means that your viral load is undetectable. They can't even detect the virus in your body. I
couldn't look at you and say, I know you're HIV positive. I couldn't do that.
And that's why I go out, because people have an idea of what they think HIV looks like. They don't think it looks like me, but I'm here to tell you it looks like me. It looks like your mother, your aunt, your cousin, the person that lives next door, the person that's sitting next to you in the pew. It looks like your doctor, your lawyer.
Yeah, so you really don't know who you're with when you're out.
You don't.
You don't know.
You don't. And so the only thing you can do, and I've done 2 videos to help people understand. The first one was senior dating. Older, wiser, safer. And it was 2 old people on a date, and it was negotiating getting tested. Having one person say to the partner, have you been tested? I'll get tested with you. And getting tested with your partner before you have sex.
Yes, that would be a whole lot better.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
you were just too easy.
True that. True that. But then once you get tested, still practice safer sex. Because there is that window where you may test negative, but you're really positive.
Right.
And then you can't guarantee that you're going to be in a monogamous situation. And people don't tell when they're messing around on the side.
Okay, I want to go off of that for a minute. Let's go to your family. How did you tell your children that mom is HIV positive because she had some strange sex?
Actually, I told my brother that I'm very close to and an aunt first.
And what did they say? They
were, well, my aunt just said, how are you? How you doing? And this aunt is amazing. She's in her 80s. But she actually took an HIV 101 class because she sits on a foster child board. And she wanted to understand all the problems people would face. So she was totally compassionate and understood. My brother was, he felt like he had led a more promiscuous life than I. He had more risk factors, and he just looked at me and he said, sis, but for the grace of God, it should have been me.
Yeah.
He had a drug problem, and he says, you know, had I been HIV positive, I'd be out high somewhere now.
Exactly.
I couldn't handle it, but God knew you could.
Right.
When I told my son, he cried.
I can imagine that.
It
must have been awful hard for you to do that.
Actually, it wasn't, because he made me angry.
Oh, so a little bit PO'd and you come back at it, huh?
Stress is one thing that will make anyone sick.
Yes,
and if you have HIV, stress will definitely have an impact.
I'm sure.
My son had stressed me out, and so I just sat down and said, listen, I need to tell you this, because you're stressing me out, and before I let you make me sick, you know, I'm going to walk away from you.
Exactly.
And so I told him. I told my grandson when he was 14. And
I bet that was an eye-opener.
That was so easy.
That was easy?
That was easy. My grandson and I, first off, have a very, very good relationship. And when I told him, he liked a little girl. And I was like, oh, my goodness, let me warn him now. And so I asked him, had he kissed her? And he blushed.
So you knew he had.
So I knew he hadn't had sex.
Right.
If you're blushing over a kiss, you haven't had. So I began to talk to him about HIV. And I told him that I was infected and that a lot of senior citizens got infected. And the kid didn't even look bat an eye, didn't say anything to me.
Because he's heard about it.
No, what he says is, ooh, old people do it.
Old people are supposed to close their legs and not get an erection and do nothing.
You know, so I said, yes, old people do it. And he said, my Nana did it. Yeah, baby, Nana did it. And Nana will do it again if the opportunity arises.
If Grandma will get the chance, she'll do it again.
So consequently, but the conversation was good because
it was healthy.
He was open and healthy. And I said to him at the time, not only am I worried that when you become sexually active, that you will take risk, I don't want you to ever take a risk. So to that end, you don't have to ask your mother or father for money to buy a condom. I will always provide for you.
Okay.
And
did that make you feel like I'm giving him permission to do this?
No. It
you
made me
feel like
feel that I was...
Made you feel safe?
Empowering him to protect himself.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't give him permission to have sex.
Okay.
But I said, when and if you do,
okay,
you come get some condoms and protect yourself.
Exactly.
And he understood why. So he plays the piano, so I made a deal with him. I said, I'll just leave him in the piano bench, and you don't have to ask, just help yourself.
Okay.
3 years later, he visits me, and he says, Nana, there's nothing in the piano bench.
He's been out spreading the seed around.
Well, he had asked me.
Was it safe sex he used that?
He had asked me for some earlier, and I'd given them to him. So when he came to visit, he figured he wouldn't ask. He'd go to the piano bench, and there was nothing there. So I was like, okay, no problem. But I felt good because I know my grandson is safe.
What about kissing? Can you get it by kissing?
No.
You cannot get it through saliva.
You can't get it by kissing. You can't get it by saliva. HIV is not an airborne virus. It's contained within bodily fluids.
Okay.
So tears, spit, saliva, urine, anything that comes out of the body and hits the air will not cause an infection.
Okay, so you can't get HIV like that.
Right.
Okay,
You
but
can't
it's got to
get
be in the sperm.
You can't get it from eating behind someone. Okay.
Drinking out of the same glass.
Drinking out of the same glass, it won't. It's not going to be transmitted. It's transmitted through vaginal fluids and semen. Okay. So when a man ejaculates, he can infect a woman. Okay. And men can get infected from women, but it's a greater incidence of male to female infection because women's bodies are depositories.
Yeah.
Okay?
Just like that lady said, a toilet.
Right. Right. Wherever the man ejaculates in your body, it's going to stay there. Whereas he doesn't run as greater risk of getting infected.
Okay.
Okay. There's a greater risk for male on male, but not female to male. That's one of the lower risks. Not that it doesn't happen.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
So, you know, we have to be aware of what you're doing, who you're doing it with. Protect yourself. That's my biggest message is protect yourself.
And you're looking forward to the 50s, well, not 70s, 80s, 90s?
Listen.
And you still think you'll have sex if you feel like it?
If I find somebody willing.
Ready, willing, and able.
That's right. That's right. They got to be able to.
I mean, this has been a healthy show.
They've got to be able.
I hope that, you know, no one who's watching this will feel ill towards me, you know. But this is something that had to be done, and I want to do more. Yeah. So I'll be having you back probably in about a month because I've learned a lot myself. I mean,
I'd love to come back.
Oh, I'd love to have you come back. I mean, who knows what we might do together? We don't know.
Okay.
But I want to thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Our 30 minutes is up. You see what I told you?
Oh, it just went so fast.
It's gone, and I've enjoyed having you here.
Yeah.
And I hope all of you out there are watching this show today learn something. We're not here to scare you. We're not here to pep you to go on having sex. We're just trying to help you, educate you so you don't contract HIV. Thanks for watching. Till next time.